Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor. I want to remind everybody that link to my sponsor, they added Chainalysis, the leading solution for cryptocurrency related risks and crimes, has been restocked on Link2's technology-enabled investment platform. You can click on that. Link will be in the top of the description on that. Now, Brad Garlinghouse has weighed in on the Binance and Coinbase lawsuits. If it wasn't already clear, it should be by now. Chair Gensler's laughable pro-innovation stance, as he said today, is exactly the opposite. What this also tells me that the SEC is throwing lawsuits at the wall and hoping they distract from the agency's FTX debacle. It's embarrassing to watch an unelected bureaucrat flail like this to mask the fact that he and his agency don't have the power that he so desperately craves. No one is fooled. And then Stuart Alderati came in and he said the allegations in these suits are just that, unproven. The SEC, despite what Chair Gensler pretends, does not have a magic regulatory wand that it can just wave and say tokens are securities. Looking forward to how the courts and Congress will take this. Brian Armstrong did a little tweet on the case, and he said regarding the complaint, we're proud to, he wanted you to remember 4 things. These are the 4 things. SEC reviewed our business and allowed us to become a public company in 2021. There's no path to come in and register. We tried repeatedly. So we don't list securities. We reject the vast majority of the assets we review. The SEC and CFTC have made conflicting statements and don't even agree on what is a security and what is a commodity. And 4, this is why the U.S. Congress is introducing new legislation to fix the situation, and the rest of the world is moving to put clear rules in place to support this technology. So, and then Ashley Prosper comes in. Ashley Prosper's been making some really good points here recently. Maybe this is why we can't find lesson number 18, class 18, the missing class 18. Of Gary Gensler's blockchain and money MIT course. After all, it was entitled A New Approach to Crypto Exchanges and Payments. Perhaps Jeff Kelly or Gary let something slip that we were not supposed to, like the mission to eradicate crypto exchanges and custody digital assets with BAC, JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, Citi, and others. I believe that's exactly what's going on here, folks. And then you've got Jim Cramer right on cue is coming in and bashing Binance and telling everybody, get your money off. And we know that CNBC and Jim Cramer are paid to carry the narrative. So we know all about that. So I said, I bet dimes to donuts that this clown is talking up back within 1 year. That's the next step. You're going to say, oh, crypto is now open for business at JP Morgan and backed and all this. And he will be their number 1 fan, and crypto will be great then. And here's Gary Gensler basically telling you that everything he did at MIT was a lie. I believe he was sent to MIT to try to present this legit guy who was all well versed in blockchain and pro blockchain, and then trick everyone into letting him be planted at the SEC and have everybody think it was going to be a good thing, and then he could slit the throat and do it in a stealth manner.
We don't need more digital currency. We already have digital currency. It's called the US dollar. It's called the euro. It's called the yen. They're all digital right now. We already have digital investments. And you have entrepreneurs representing digital investments on this program all day long. And it's whether it's the big tech companies, the automobile companies, you name it. It's all digital right now, the investing world. So what is the real underlying value of these tokens? And that's why you need full, fair, and truthful disclosure.
What we need is disclosure about Gary Gensler. I think there's a lot of disclosure that needs to come out on him and a lot of his bureaucrat and political buddies, because I think this country's been hijacked. Let's check in with the official cool guy. We can do it.
What's up, fam? When are these children in the crypto space going to realize that the dark forces have been trying to create a monopoly for Ethereum? They didn't believe us in the Ripple case, and now the light is shining. All the coins are getting attacked, except for Ethereum. I don't know how many times you need to be slapped in the face to wake up.
Correctamundo. And here we've got Rostin Benham. He's the head of the CFTC. Before I show you this clip, let's not forget, remember the Charles Gasparino clip from May of 2018, the month before the Hinman Ethereum free pass. They said that Joseph Lubin and Andrew Keys said that they were with consensus, said that they had the Brooklyn Project and they were working with the SEC and the CFTC to create a self-regulatory agency. They were trying to create a monopoly for Bitcoin and Ethereum is what they were doing, and all of them are still stuck in this lie.
Ethereum, commodity or security?
Congressman, I've said repeatedly, I believe Ether is a commodity.
Very good. And what's the analysis that you had in leading you to that decision?
Well, we look at some of the core fundamentals that have driven this analysis over many decades, as I've said, including the Howey test, and it's the characteristics that are driven mainly by decentralization and the fact that you don't have a single individual or a group of individuals.
They were literally having meetings with the same individuals that he is acting like don't exist back in 2018.
Taking action that
those individuals being Joseph Lubin, Ethereum, Ethereum Foundation people, consensus people.
It's the value of the underlying asset, right?
Yeah.
And this is where I'm going to probably get into an area that I'm not necessarily an expert, but you have a large group of individuals who are on or who are validating the network itself. And when you have that dispersion among individuals, you don't have those traditional, what is at least how we define a security, central group of individuals.
Would very much agree with you on that, Mr. Chairman. In fact, you mentioned some other ones today, Litecoin, I think among them stablecoin as a highlight of this, as digital asset commodities. My concern here is that by having this non-defined regulatory space, the SEC is in effect picking winners and losers in this attempt to innovate in this space. Would you agree with that assessment?
Well, Congressman, the issues are difficult, and you could say that even with any of these tokens, and given the way the market's evolving, you could package them and utilize them and offer them in many different ways. So
I would offer that everybody in this space ultimately ends up being a loser, at least in the U.S. market, because there is no regulatory regime, and they're forced to find other places where there's clear definition for them to be winners in this space. So I want to change to some of the legislation that we're working on here. Do you believe it's possible for a digital asset to start as a security initially and then transition to a commodity?
I do.
All right, very good. Do you believe?
Well, Ethereum started not just as a security, but it also started with some very questionable, in a very questionable way, in that Joseph Lubin on video said he was going to help the whales disguise their purchases. Not only did it start as a security, but may have started something very worse, like much worse.
Congress should be the driving force in enacting clarity in this space, or the SEC?
Given the nature of the markets that are evolving and changing and growing, I think this Congress should have a hand in sort of dictating the future of policy in this country.
Now, let's let you hear the real clip you need to hear. I'll just play it.
I guess one of the questions I have is, as we identify of the 20,000, which ones are, for lack of better terminology, worthy of the regulatory framework? I mean, does it have to be a certain dollar value, a certain number of individual owners of the different cryptos, and how do you keep somebody from manipulating it? Obviously, if you could buy into an unregulated one and somehow manipulate the price that it became regulated, you would make yourself wealthy, because once you became regulated, then you're going to be part
Like
of
they did with
for lack of
Ethereum?
better terminology, the chosen ones that actually are able to engage in transactions.
The vast majority of these 20,000 tokens you mentioned are largely not trading. You probably see if very little to probably no trading on a daily basis. The vast majority of the trading occurs in a small handful of tokens, in the dozens at most, and probably smaller than that.
That's because of the SEC and the CFTC's meetings from back in 2018 to give Bitcoin and Ethereum a monopoly. Otherwise, you would have a big, thriving market.
The idea and the concept around a regulatory regime wouldn't be any different than what you mentioned on futures or options or swaps or equities, is that you'd have registered exchanges, and in order to trade those tokens in a regulated way, you'd have to list the tokens on the exchange. If they remained off exchange, then that would be a violation of either the Commodity Exchange Act as refined or amended, and then of course the Security and Exchange Act as well. I do think a lot of these tokens, given where they are right now and the activity that we've seen over the past few years, would probably over time disappear, both because of the weight of regulation and because they've largely become obsolete.
I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, and tell your friends and family about the chosen ones. Thanks for listening.